These altcoins are incredibly close to massive breakouts, and it's all showing in their charts. In fact, it's incredibly obvious to see how altcoins move in bull markets and to identify breakout patterns on the charts before it happens. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can do it so that you can identify coins in your portfolio that are just about to break out. And I'm going to tell you about coins in my portfolio that I think are very close to a massive pump towards the upside. So hit that like button and let's get into today's video. Now guys, before we dive into those key patterns that are going to be the secret to your success in this bull market, we're going to understand why right now we are looking incredibly bullish overall. Bitcoin has been pumping up against this resistance line and it's showing very limited downside. It's telling us that the sell pressure up at these levels is very low and we're getting these higher lows each time, which means each time the price drops, Bitcoin buyers are coming in at higher and higher levels, and the pressure is building up against this area, telling us that a Bitcoin breakout is coming very soon. Now, if you've been in crypto for 5 minutes, then you're going to understand that this is very bullish for not just Bitcoin, but the rest of the market. But up until recently, we've only really seen the large caps as a whole pumping significantly, with only a few kind of small and mid-cap coins having some pretty good runs. But that's all about to change because the others' dominance, which is all the altcoins outside of the top 10 as a percentage of market cap of the entire crypto market, is about to break out, which simply means that the mid and small cap coins are about to see some really exciting times. Because you can see that we were rejected aggressively the other day down towards this area at around 10.39%. Now we've been pumped up back into this area. We're going to see this break very shortly as soon as Bitcoin starts to head back towards the upside, and that is going to send a lot of the mid and small caps pumping. But you're probably keen to work out which of the mid and small cap coins that you're holding are going to see those biggest pumps first. Well, if you're already subscribed to the House of Crypto, you know where we're going with this. I'm going to teach you exactly how to identify it for yourself, like I always do on this channel, but because this channel is about teaching you to fish for yourself so that you can go out there and make more money in crypto markets than you ever thought possible. Because you're going to be able to understand why we're buying different coins and selling different coins, which coins are about to pump the hardest, and which coins maybe we should be avoiding. So if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to the House of Crypto, notification bell turned on so that you don't miss my future updates. Anyway, in order to work out which coins are going to start pumping next, we simply need a case study. We need to look at coins that have already been pumping to work out what they did, how they moved, and to then identify this in coins in the earlier stages of this life cycle. And this is slightly different from the pullback and cut pattern that I taught you over on Dogecoin, which enabled us to catch absolutely massive moves like the ones on Render, like Beam and EOS and a few others. And if you use this pattern successfully, let me know down below which coins you were buying down at the bottom of this cup breakout. Anyway, we're not going to use that pattern because a lot of coins have already been breaking out and some of those coins have still got massive moves left in them. Now I'm going to use XRP as the example for a coin that has already shown us significant upside. Don't go and ape into XRP. It's showing us the pattern to use to go and identify other coins that are about to pump. Now, if you're subscribed, you know I've been giving a bit of a hard time to XRP army guys over the years, mainly because they call themselves the XRP army, which I just think is a bit weird because ultimately these are just crypto coins to buy and sell and to hopefully make some money rather than to get emotionally attached to. Now, you can tell me until the cows come home about why XRP has been pumping, and I don't really care about that right now because fundamentally the charts are showing us classic patterns that we can use to identify future moves. Now, in terms of what happened to XRP, it was flat as hell again, then all of a sudden breaks out towards the upside, and it does something very significant. It moves in 1, 2, and 3 significant pumps. This is a very common thing that you will see in crypto coins before seeing more of a significant cool off up the top, okay, which will then probably form into some form of a flag pattern, and then we'll probably see continuation along the way for XRP. I reckon realistically XRP might have another 2 or 3x in it. And I'm sorry if that upsets you, but that's just the reality of things. There is only so much money that's going to flood into the market, and there is so much more opportunity in smaller to mid-cap coins right now than there is in some of these monsters. So what we want to do is identify coins that have probably already been through one of these legs, maybe even 2, and then identify ones that are now sat in this area. Now, it might not be so easy to see what happens in these areas on this 1-day time frame, but if we sink down to a 15-minute chart, it's going to become increasingly obvious what is going on. You see, during these phases, we have a lot of institutions and VCs pumping liquidity into the market to create FOMO, retail investors then start to FOMO in to these, okay? But you need to have a little bit of resting time, and during these resting phases, a lot of the big buyers from down here start to take some smaller profits off the table, but nothing too significant. They're waiting for more FOMO and things to build up in these areas, and then they will re-inject liquidity to pump it to the next level. Now then, by sinking down to the 1 hour chart and looking at this first box, we can identify one of a few very simple bullish continuation patterns. Now, you don't need to know the name of these or anything, just know what happens in this area. Simply, price moves up aggressively, it then starts to condense itself down until it reaches a point at which there is no more room in this pattern. This is a symmetrical triangle. Some other patterns might look like this, where you have lower highs coming in. This is an ascending triangle. Sometimes you even have descending triangles like this, which is sometimes considered bearish, but in crypto bull markets, I wouldn't get too worried about any of them. They're simply consolidation patterns. As soon as consolidation is finished, we typically see breakouts in the direction of the trend, which in this case for XRP was up. Okay, so you can see this consolidation pattern gave us a great entry on XRP. Anything that enters very aggressively into this zone is likely to see continuation once this has finished. Okay, so this went in 16th of November. It came out the 21st of November. It was there for 5 days. There are a lot of coins right now that have been sat quietly for 3 or 4 or 5 days that you're not even looking at, that are ready to go next. And tomorrow you're going to be looking at them on crypto bubbles being like, is it too late to get into this coin, when you don't need to do that? Teach you to stop asking that stupid question. Okay, it is a stupid question. Because if you're asking that question, yes, it is too late. Because you're only asking that question because it's already pumping. I'm going to teach you how to find the coin that is about to pump tomorrow, okay? Rather than the coin that's been pumping from yesterday, okay? Which is likely to see a pullback like this tomorrow. Because, as you can see on XRP's chart, because after that pump, it went down 20%. And yes, there are people who sat there for 5 days and now they're up. Happy days, okay? But you don't want to be sat there for 5 days down 20%, wondering if XRP is going to come back to life. XRP then breaks out and legs up to the next level. And this is why you don't want to buy these big green candles, okay? Because again, XRP runs into resistance. It pulls back a whopping 21%, which is pretty big. Okay, and it creates, guess what? Another pattern, okay? This pattern is, can we remember? The descending triangle. Now you can see, again, once we have multiple points of contact, 1, 2, 3, 4, eventually it's going to break this line. Okay, eventually it's going to break this line. And the fact that it's holding the base here at this level is also pretty strong, telling us that we then have continued upside. So XRP again washes around in this area and then eventually it breaks out. So I'm telling you that once we've had breaks like this, sideways action is probably a good time to be entering if we're creating a continuation pattern. Now, again, remember, we get 3 big pumps usually. In the first one, gives us the best opportunity because it's likely to see the most upside. The second one, and usually the final move of the 3, okay, we have the 1, the 2, and the 3 is usually the biggest one, but obviously lower down you get more upside in front of you. Now the third one obviously takes much longer to play out. We will eventually see some more upside, but there are likely chances at this level that you get much more selling off. In fact, 33% down on XRP here. And yes, you could say it's because of Bitcoin or whatever, but simply we're looking to get into these coins, if we haven't already, around the consolidation after the 1. Okay. And yes, there are a lot of coins that are still down in this area that might get up here, and there are good opportunities. But if you can't identify them, and if you're wondering whether it's too late, then you probably want to wait for a consolidation pattern that looks like this. And if you can find it, then you probably are on to a bit of a winner. And it's not just XRP that moves like this. Okay, this is EOS, another coin. Now I mentioned this coin earlier because it broke out of our classic pattern here. Okay, we had the break, we had the pump, we then had the long old sideways action. And in fact, you can see that this is typically what we might see after that third leg up. Look, for EOS, we had the same before. 1 leg, 2 legs, third leg is a big one, and then a big old pullback. Now, this was because Bitcoin and everything went sideways for 8 months. I'm not anticipating this again, but this is why you don't want to buy into the third leg. You want to aim for the first leg consolidation before that kind of third leg runs. Now again, look at EOS. First leg breaks up. Then what do we get? If we go down to the 1 hour, what do we get? We get one of these, okay? A symmetrical triangle. You can see it bounces up. It actually goes a bit higher, and then it kind of continues to bounce around in this area. Again, you don't want to buy in after that first pump because it pulls back on you 25%. If you ape into a coin that you know nothing about today and it's down 25% tomorrow, the chances are you're going to sell it. So for example, if you turn up in crypto day 1 with $1,000 and you're like, yeah, this looks like everything's going towards the upside, I can't lose. You go and buy this, you wake up tomorrow, you're down $250, chances are you then go and sell that coin. You then go away with your tail between your legs and you're like, oh, this hurts. And guess what? Then EOS pumps again and you're like, okay, this time's different. EOS is actually going to pump for me. You then take your $750 that you've got left, you ape into EOS up here, it then pulls back on you 22%. You're now 22% down on $750. You're now at literally like half the money that you were starting with down here, and you're in a bull market wondering how people lose money in bull markets. Well, they lose it by doing what you're doing. So stop doing it. Stop buying these big green candles and start buying these consolidation patterns and learn how markets move. Now, we have one pattern here, and then what do we have for EOS? In fact, we have another continuation pattern, one that I haven't talked about so far, which is a bit of a flag kind of pattern here. Okay, you can see it's kind of bouncing around. And then guess what? Chances are it will then continue again from this area. But what do we know? One consolidation pattern, two consolidation patterns, and then the third one will likely be for longer up there. Which means if I'm holding EOS, happy days, I will likely take profits in that third area up there, but I don't want to do it yet. But I also don't want to buy into EOS because it's up in this second zone here, which means my upside from here isn't that much before I'm going to get some form of significant sideways action. Now I'll show you again. Look, SUI has done the same. It has a nice run. It goes for some nice sideways action. It then goes again. It goes for some nice sideways action. It goes again. Then it will push up to the $5, $6 level. Then it could have a longer cool off before then progressing on. Now, this is obviously not completely 100% guaranteed. Okay, but if you're buying into these consolidation patterns later on in the consolidations, some of these are taking 1 week, some of them are taking 3 days. Okay, it depends on what's happening in the wider market. Obviously, Bitcoin sits still for a while, and there's a chance that these will sit still for a while as well. But if the market continues to rally, we're going to see more of this consolidation, breakout, consolidation, breakout. Obviously, enter into the lows down here. But if you haven't managed to get into the lows down there, then the best bet you've got now is to get into the first consolidation. Obviously on SUI, you've missed it. So let's go and look for the next one. And I just want to remind you of what can happen in bull markets. To those of you who are like, yeah, but by the time it gets to that first consolidation pattern, you're already too late. Well, you are already too late to capture some of the best gains. But most of you who are entering into the markets right now have already missed that first phase. I'm sorry, but you still have good opportunity in these markets if you can start to study and understand what's going on. And that's what I'm trying to teach you at the House of Crypto. Okay, so make sure you're subscribed if you didn't already. Hopefully you're starting to figure out that maybe this could help. Now, this is Gala Games in the last bull market. To be honest, I think Gala Games is a bit of a shit project, but don't get upset by that, okay? Because the team had a little falling out and then they don't work together anymore. And apparently the offices are pretty much empty, but for some reason, people still started to ape into this coin. Anyway, whatever, I don't care. Gala Games, look at the last bull market, had a big pump, and then guess what? It creates our old friend, the consolidation pattern. You can see here, we have the highs, and then you can see we have also basically a flat base here. Okay, so this is descending wedge. Typically in Forex, this is bearish because it shows that the selling pressure is getting lower down. But ultimately, because we're in a bull market, because of global monetary supply pumping into the markets, ultimately any consolidation pattern is just a pause moment, okay, before the next breakout. Gala Games had literally only one of these stops. After it broke that one stop there, you can see it went 770%. Okay, so yes, there is still some significant gains to be had if you're buying into the right coins out there. Now, these are all coins that have already been running hot. Now, there are a lot of coins I'm holding in my portfolio. And if you want to know which coins I'm holding, then I made 2 videos the other day. One about the larger cap coins of which I'm holding, which in my opinion are still safer investments than the smaller to mid cap coins I'm holding, which you can find out about in the other video. But I do think those coins have some bigger potential upside. Now, obviously from looking at the charts, we can now understand coins that are looking pretty damn healthy indeed. But we want to stack this together with something that's going to make it a pretty fail-safe investment, okay? What I like to do is to search for different coins that are offering a few different things. Now, first things first, the most important is the narrative. What is the narrative? Well, different narratives out there: AI, real-world assets, gaming, DeFi, DePIN. Personally, I'm interested in real-world assets, gaming, AI, and kind of DePIN as well, or DePIN AI crossover. Now, why would that be? Well, because these projects are not only interesting, but they're also easy to understand for retail investors. New people in crypto can understand crypto games and why games might do well in a bull market. They can also understand AI. They might not be able to understand how it works, but they can understand why AI is such a big deal in the world right now because everyone's talking about it. Also, real world assets. They might sound a little bit kind of boring and whatever, but we all know that BlackRock is basically leading the charge in this bull market. They're heavily into tokenization of assets and pushing real world assets as a narrative. Not only that, but we can also understand tokenization of real world assets. So for example, owning a part share in a house that is shared out on the blockchain, you can have like your NFT that represents that share of that house. Or what about things with watches or artwork or all sorts of different real world assets being moved on chain? This is very much the future. It's easy to understand. So obviously the narrative is incredibly important. We then want to go and look at the team. Is the team transparent? Now, I have invested in the past in non-transparent teams, and that can be fine. You can still make upside, but actually it's much safer if you are unsure to go and look at teams that you can see and identify on the piece of paper, or go and look at their LinkedIn or whatever, because they're very unlikely to rug pull you. Now, what else? Do they have active users? Is their platform actively attracting users? So for a game, it should have active players. For real world assets, it should actually be tokenizing assets or having different volume coming through. For layer ones like Sui and Aptos, is there TVL growth? Is there a lot of volume on chain? If you pair all of this information together and then you find the coins on the chains that are looking to break out, then you almost have a guaranteed winner. This is not financial advice. Go and do your own research, okay? But you can't go far wrong. If you've got a good looking chart, the right narrative, a transparent team with a platform that's actually got active users, you're really not going to go too far wrong. Okay, now I wanted to talk about a couple of coins that I'm holding in my portfolio that I've already talked about before, because I don't want you to keep having to buy new coins. I want you to look at the coins that I'm talking about and kind of start to understand more about why maybe I'm holding them. Obviously, then you can go and buy coins that are similar or whatever else. I don't really care. Okay, but My Lovely Planet right now has the chart that is in that first consolidation zone. We can see that it has a very explosive piece of growth here, which is positive. Okay, the explosive growth shows that there is interest out there in this particular coin. And then you can see that we move into the consolidation zone. Now, again, you can drop down to like a 4-hour chart or a 1-hour chart or something that just makes sense. Now, what we can see again is on this particular pattern, we have our flat base, okay, and then we are in a descending wedge. Now you can see it breaks, it comes back and retests, and is now starting to test this area again. I'm pretty confident once this breaks, this is going to send much higher just from a chart perspective. But it's also important to understand why My Lovely Planet is starting to attract attention. And you're going to understand why I'm invested in this, hopefully, by the end of this. Now, I have said that basically within gaming, it's better to be invested in kind of larger ecosystem coins than smaller cap games. But individual games do have the opportunity to blow up if they are the right one. Now, the team behind My Lovely Planet comes from none other than Candy Crush, which is pretty much the biggest grossing mobile phone game of all time. Now, it's quite a similar game with a similar structure. It's kind of an addictive game. You can go and download it and play it for yourself. In fact, 200,000 people have already downloaded it and are actively playing this each month, which is a very big tick in my has an active user ecosystem part. Also, transparent team down below. You can find out where they've come from. Candy Crush, X game developers. You know, you can go and see where they've come from. Then you'll understand in gaming that this is pretty useful. They're also pretty good on social media, like 1 million followers on Instagram. Now, this game doesn't yet have a link to the blockchain. But in January, I believe that they're going to go live on the blockchain, and the 200,000 people who are already using the game are going to start to be able to buy that crypto token to interact with the game. Okay, they're not even going to know that they're buying a crypto token, and this is going to really upset the supply and demand model, in my opinion. So when this game goes live in January, I think that we're going to see a big catalyst for growth there. They're also doing something very cool that they're planting trees. Okay, and you might care about this, you might not, but what this allows them to do is acquire an active user for around 12 cents, rather than Candy Crush, who pays around $1.07 to acquire an active user. So put all these things together with that chart, okay? We've got a lot of active users, we're in the right narrative, you've got a transparent team, you've got the right names, okay, associated with this, like Candy Crush and whatever else, and in fact, partnered with Ubisoft and Unity. Pretty good ranking on the App Store and Google Play. I've actually played this game myself. Go try it out. Not a bad one, okay? Obviously, I'm not asking you to invest in this, okay? I'm just showing you how to research a coin. Go and look at this one. Go and look at similar games with similar charts, and you won't go too far wrong if you're aligning with what I'm talking about here. Anyway, right now, $18 million market cap. Can I see this going to $1 billion plus? Well, Candy Crush already makes billions of dollars every single year. Doesn't it make sense that a Web3 version could be worth upwards into the billions? Who knows? Okay, who knows? Just huge speculation, small cap coins. Do your own research. Check it out. Now, if you want to really simply identify these charts, just get on a weekly chart. Okay, some of these coins have been running quite hot. Okay, but they still give you an opportunity to enter as long as it is the very first consolidation area on that chart. And in fact, sometimes having a bit of a good pump into it gives you the confidence to know that it's going to continue to pump from there. But this is how to enter after you get the big green candles so that you can get a decent entry before the next phase begins. Now, this is our trade, and looking at a weekly chart, we can simply see the first red candle in this first big up move, okay? You can see, while yes, this is a bit of a move here, it doesn't really break the previous highs. This is the breakout move here. This is the first leg of the breakout move. This is the one to pay attention to. And by contrast, this is Doge, okay? Our trade sits somewhere around here right now, okay, after that kind of initial breakout from here. And then Dogecoin obviously continued on its way. Our trade is what I'm kind of betting on next here. Now, on the weekly, you can't necessarily see much. Go to something like a 4-hour chart, and then you can start to see things starting to make sense. Okay, if we go from the top of the wicks and draw across, you can see that we've tried to break out here, but it's been a little bit flat. Now, what we can see as well from the base, have we got a pattern? Well, absolutely, because we are seeing higher lows here, which is the most bullish pattern of the continuation patterns, okay? It is pushing the price higher each time. Now, typically, around 75% of the way to completion of these patterns, you will see a breakout. So you can see it's a little early right now. Maybe our trade dips into here. Maybe it gets a breakout somewhere around the 16th of December, which is about 3 days away. Maybe it breaks out before that, I'm not sure. But we are likely to see this continue on as far as the chart patterns are telling me. Now, again, we need to stack together the chart patterns with a few fundamentals around the project. What narrative is it? Well, our trade is a real world asset token. I've again featured this before in my portfolio. And yes, I'm talking about coins that I hold. I hold them because they're decent. Why would I tell you about coins that I'm not holding? Because they're crap. So don't get upset, okay? I'm telling you about coins that I hold. Okay, narrative, real world assets, big tick. We know real world assets is capturing a lot of attention. Again, transparent team. Now, what kind of real world assets? Because we've seen like Ondo and Clearpool and all those go absolutely crazy. But this is actually slightly different in the world of real world assets because it's not tokenization of traditional funds and stocks and stuff, okay? What they're doing is it's a real world asset art marketplace. They already have 5,000 active users, which is again the next biggest tick that we've talked about. And effectively, it's a place where you can go and buy different pieces of famous art, okay? They previously tokenized a Picasso painting, and now they have a lot of different kind of modern art available. Go across to the marketplace, and you can see some of these different pieces for sale. This is Banksy. You've got Cause, which is pretty popular across Asia right now, and various others. You actually have real artists who are using their artwork. This is very cool, in my opinion, okay? Again, does it have the, we're not that educated about crypto, but can we understand what this platform does? Absolutely, right? It's pretty simple to understand. They're taking very expensive pieces of art and giving you the opportunity to invest in a portion of that artwork, like 1% of it or 5% of it or whatever. Maybe you can buy the whole thing if you want, all linked through the blockchain. Here you can see, you can click on the fragments and you can go and buy like this Picasso or a fragment of the Picasso painting. Not necessarily the best painting I've ever seen, but you can go down below and see other different things going on. Okay, so this is pretty cool, in my opinion. As far as projects go, the chart's also looking promising. Okay, so chart plus right narrative, active users, can't go too wrong. Now again, fairly small market cap, around $68 million. They have just listed on Bitpanda, which is the biggest crypto broker in Europe, and they are also looking to then go on to other major exchanges. Another good thing to look at with projects is, do they have catalysts that can drive the next bit of growth? If you're already investing in coins that are already on Binance and already at like massive market caps, there's not that much that's going to be able to give you too much of a catalyst to drive it into the future unless some major update announcement comes out, like we've been seeing happen with Sui all the time and Beam and other major larger cap coins. But I'll talk about those in another video. Right now, this makes for a pretty good potential upside, in my opinion. Obviously, I could be wrong, but a lot of real world asset platforms are getting towards the $1 billion plus in terms of market caps. Can this do it? Well, absolutely. If it does, that goes towards 15x, maybe even more for our trade. Where can you go and buy it? At the moment, it's available on these exchanges. If you want to use MEXC, there's a link down below in the description. But for pretty much all the coins that I talk about, as well as many others, go across to Bitunix, which is linked down below in the description. You don't need to use a KYC. I know that they have My Lovely Coin listed. I have just, in fact, asked them to list our trade. So if you're looking to trade any of these coins, then go across to Bitunix. It's linked down below in the description. No KYC required, and has some of the lowest fees available across crypto. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video and found it useful, okay? You don't have to go and ape into those coins by any means, okay? Go and use what I've taught you with the different charts to then understand why I'm talking about those coins, why I'm talking about those charts, and then go and find others that fit, okay? That should make sense to you. Basically, your last safe moment is to ape into that first consolidation zone rather into the second or third one. If you're looking at coins that sound really good but are higher up there, then maybe avoid them. Go and look for the second best somewhere else. Now, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Smash the like button if you haven't already. It really helps me out more than you know. If you haven't, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow in another video. Bye-bye.